Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and today we're going to be talking about my Camp Arrow 2 haul that I picked up from Arrow Video. Super excited about all these titles. I picked them up. They're all blind buys, and so they're all first-time watches, but I will eventually cover them on the channel. Once the mood arrives and the mood strikes and I get the time to watch them, I'm very excited to jump into a lot of them. Some of them a little bit quicker than others, but it'll eventually will happen. So I'm going to cover those today with you, and then I also picked up a few things from Best Buy, and I want to share those titles with you as well. And I also got one thing from Scream Factory actually, and so we're going to talk about those today. But then also I want to mention last video I made was the Mad Lib Syntax Challenge, and so if anyone is curious to know what that challenge is, link in the description down below. But it's more or less a challenge that you have to create a sentence out of 5 titles, and you have to do this 3 times, so at least I'm doing it 3 times. But I'm going to create a sentence that has connectives, articles, adjectives that you can add yourself to make the sentence coherent, right? But you have to come up with the title, like this really cool, interesting syntax challenge. With obviously it's a Mad Lib thing. So I just described what the title of the challenge was. But you have to create the sentence here, and it's got to make sense, or a little bit of sense, I suppose. But it's supposed to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to be doing that challenge, and I'm going to be talking about those films in a little bit once I get the time to watch them. I'm halfway through one of them, and so we're going to get to that later. And then the other thing is I also did a giveaway, and I actually wrote down 14 of you who were interested in this giveaway. So stick around for the end of the video. I'm going to be doing a random number generator to declare who the winner is, and then I will also link in my Twitter and my Instagram, so that way you can contact me if you win this giveaway. So let's jump right into my titles. Let's actually start off straight from the Best Buy and the Scream Factory that I picked up. All right, so the first film that I picked up was actually Scream Factory. I got this at a secondhand shop here where I live, and I've been eyeing this for quite some time, and I think the time is right. It's the summer. I want to be around some of my friends. I want to watch something ridiculous. So I picked up Ninja 3: The Domination. I've heard this is a great cult classic film. I haven't seen it, obviously, but I've heard it's a blast. It's an aerobics instructor gets possessed by an evil ninja. And then there's that's all I have to describe to you and like to get you interested in this film. But this is going to be very zany, very over the top. I'm very excited about it, and I hope to watch it with some of my friends. Maybe Chris Hurtado and Daniel from Cobwebs. Maybe I can watch this with you guys. But yeah, I'm very excited about this film. Has anyone seen this one? I know this is a classic, like I said, so I'm very happy that I picked that one up. All right, so the next 3 titles that I picked up are all from Best Buy. I actually recently went there finally to the brick and mortar store, just like I'd picked up that Ninja 3 title. But Best Buy is slowly but surely dwindling down their physical media section. There's only one, I think there's only one shelf left with the front and back. So it's sad, but these are the times. But I actually picked up a few titles, and the first one that I picked up is actually a Korean title that came out last year. I've heard this from one friend of mine who had seen it, and he really enjoyed it, and him and his wife. And I think they kind of convinced me to finally pick it up, because I had seen it before. I've seen it around, but this is actually The Swordsman, a Korean film. And I guess it's a little bit like Zatoichi in a sense. It's a blind swordsman. So I've heard that comparison a little bit as well. But has anyone seen The Swordsman? I'm actually kind of curious what you think, if anyone has seen this one before, but I wanted to pick it up. It wasn't that expensive, so I definitely did that. And the other thing I picked up is, this is the only film that I'll be talking about that I have seen, and I really enjoyed it. Came out a few years ago, and I just hadn't picked it up, and it was cheap now, and I picked up Greta Gerwig's Little Women. And I've been wanting to watch the other adaptations and then also read the book, but I haven't done that. But I really enjoyed this one in particular. It's got an amazing cast. Saoirse Ronan, Florence Pugh, for instance. It also has Emma Watson in it, Laura Dern, Meryl Streep, Eliza Scanlon, and Timothy Chalamet is also in this particular film adaptation, and I really enjoyed it. It's particularly Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh in this film, like they steal the show. And Timothy Chalamet's good too. I can't wait to see him in Dune. That's going to be great. But yeah, has anyone seen Little Women or any of the other adaptations or read the novel? I'm definitely curious to know if you have done that. But yeah, good movie. Glad I finally own it. Relatively cheap. And then the last thing I picked up from Best Buy was actually a Shout Select. This is Spine number 116. And this is actually from 1985. It's directed by Joe Dante, who did Gremlins and The Howling. And we'll talk about Joe in a little bit as well, and the Arrow sale. But this actually is starring a young River Phoenix and a young Ethan Hawke from '85 in Explorers right here. And actually, I remember my friend Master Chaos TV, he was talking about this. I think he picked this up at Best Buy as well. I'm really, really excited about this. This seems like a summer adventure film and a summer sci-fi film. And I love Ethan Hawke, and I love the few films that I've seen with River Phoenix in it. I wish that he was able to, live a little longer, but he's put out a lot of really fantastic films when he was around. But yeah, has anyone seen Explorers? I'm really, really curious to know in the comment section down below. I'm going to say that a million times as we jump into my Camp Arrow 2 sale. Here we go. We're going to jump right into the titles that I picked up, and they finally arrived from the UK. Here we go. All right, so the first two titles I have on my stack are Vincent Price films, and I've heard more about one of them than the other one because my roommate had seen it, and I'm talking about Theater of Blood right here. This one also has Diana Rigg in it. I've heard really, really fun things about this particular film. And as you know, if you've been following my channel, I have been interested in going further and further into Vincent Price's filmography. I hadn't really seen much, and I still haven't yet. I'm waiting for an opportunity to jump in to some of those titles. And then the other thing I picked up is directed by Jacques Turner, who we'll talk about in a second as well. There's another film that I picked up with him as the director. This is the Comedy of Terrors with Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, and also Boris Karloff is in this film. But yeah, this is going to be a fun one, and just one of those films that, just like the other Amicus films that I have and some of the Hammer films, like it's just like a cool little collaboration with all these different cool horror stars that came together. But I'm very excited about both Theater of Blood and Comedy of Terrors. Has anyone seen those ones? There we go, doing it again. Let me know in the comment section. The other thing that I picked up is this came out, I guess, a couple years ago, and as I was scrolling through the sale, I noticed this fairly early on, and I watched a trailer for it, and I really, really was like just enamored by it. It kind of reminds me of maybe a Moorhead and Benson film, one of those newer sci-fi films that those two directed. But this is actually a film by Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella, and I'm actually talking about After Midnight. And this looks like an amazing, amazing film that is just atmospheric and like very chilling, and it almost looks like a werewolf film of sorts. I don't know exactly. My vernacular is limited, for some reason I like to just say great and atmospheric, and I know I have a plethora of other things I could talk about, but like I said, I haven't seen these films yet. So anyway, that's just a little gripe on myself. But After Midnight, I'm very, very curious about this one. This looks really, really great. It's actually got Brea Grant from A Ghost Story, and I love that film, which can't talk about too much because I'll get emotional if I do. Next is actually a film by Alfred Hitchcock. I'm actually reading an Alfred Hitchcock biography right now. The 12 Lives of Alfred Hitchcock is the name, I believe. Really, really enjoying that so far. But this is actually a film from 1939, so this is actually one of his earlier films. Earlier, to the middle, right? So 39, when he's starting to like pick up, right? He's just been doing a lot of espionage films around this time period, and then eventually Rebecca the next year. But this is Jamaica Inn with Charles Laughton and Maureen O'Hara. Very, very excited about this because, like I said, I've been reading on Hitchcock lately, and I'm definitely more curious to fill in those gaps of the Hitchcock films that I hadn't seen. And Jamaica Inn is definitely one of them, and that cover is sweet. And then here's the original cover. I believe it has Charles Laughton in it. Yeah, love that Arrow has those reversible covers, and it just looks incredible. So very excited about that one. Next is, like I said, I was going to bring up Jacques Turner again. I really love this director, Night of the Demon, and I still haven't seen I Walked with a Zombie yet. But I have seen Cat People. But I picked up a noir from 1956, and this one has some out of the past tendencies that I saw, but this is Nightfall right here, and this is starring Aldo Ray, Brian Keith, and Anne Bancroft. Very curious about this cover, and I definitely was wanting to explore this more. And here's the alternate cover right there. Looks incredible. Love those old poster arts from the 40s and 50s. And I love noirs too, so I think I'm going to watch this probably in November. Is probably a good time when I'll probably check this one out. But yeah, has anyone seen Nightfall? Next is another film by Joe Dante. I told you I would mention him again. This one I remember back in the day when I used to go to video stores like Blockbuster, right? And I remember seeing this cover quite a bit, but I never picked it up or watched it. And it has actually one of my favorite actors in it, John Goodman, MSU alumni, which is where I work. But I'm talking about Matinee right here. And yeah, so obviously I like Joe Dante's work that I've seen so far, and I picked up more of his stuff. And this looks like a hell of a fun film. It looks like a schlocky horror classic. And so very, very excited about Matinee right here. Actually, the cover that I saw all the time was actually that one right there. And just John Goodman being a silly man. This came out in 1993. So yeah, early 90s film. Looks like a lot of fun. Next is actually probably one of the better releases that came out last year that a lot of people talked about and a lot of people hyped. I hadn't seen it yet, and I was definitely wanting the Arrow edition of this. This also came out on Criterion, but I picked it out on Arrow because this is the 4K of it, and I'm actually talking about David Cronenberg's Crash right here. I believe film blogger Sam, my friend, he's the one who kind of definitely made me pull the trigger on it a little bit. His enthusiasm was a little infectious there, so I decided to pick this one up. And you know, I've heard this is quite a movie, so definitely curious to watch this sometime soon and have a good time with it. I hope to have a good time with it. And then the last film that I picked up before we jump into the box sets is a film that I picked up because I've heard many people talk about it. Mainly Steph, Movie Chatter. She brought this one up, but it's a Park Chan-wook film, and it is one of his earlier films. I think it's from 2000, and it is Joint Security Area, or JSA. This actually came with a slipcover too. I think it's one of the more recent releases that came out from Arrow, so I was able to get a slipcover from it. Super excited about this film. It's about the border of North and South Korea. It's friendship that develops, and then there's allegiances and alliances that have to be made. And so I've heard it's an incredibly thrilling film, and also one of those ones that will test friendships. And so I'm sure it's incredible. So as like I said, I've seen The Handmaiden and Old Boy, and I've loved the other works that he's done so far. So this is one of his earlier ones, and so I'm definitely curious to see this film in particular, because just the plot alone interests me, but also, people talked about it and said good things about it. So actually, now let's move on to the box sets. All right, so the first box set that I picked up is one because I've actually been watching The Six Moral Tales by Eric Romer. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. I've been watching those, and so I wanted to pick this one up too. This is Comedies and Proverbs. This is 6 films by him. So it actually has The Aviator's Wife, A Good Marriage, Pauline at the Beach, Full Moon in Paris, The Green Ray, and My Girlfriend's Boyfriend. Very excited about this one. It's actually really interesting. You'll see this with the other titles that I have. This is a really slim box set for 6. So it's literally like 2 films in each disc. And so each disc actually is a really slim case right here. And I actually kind of like this. I like this little transition, but it has both films in there, and then the reversible art for the other side. And so this artwork, actually, I really like this artwork for these films. I've only seen 2 Eric Romer films, and so I'm definitely curious to check this one out and look at more of his work in the French New Wave. Next is actually, these next 2 releases were out of print, and I'm very, very happy that they came back. This one I've heard just incredible things. I believe Amateur Filmies, Matt and Sarah, they talked a lot about this one. But Kenji Fukusaku's Battles Without Honor and Humanity, the complete collection. I didn't get the newer box set that also comes along with it. I probably should eventually get that as well, because it's like the last bit of this collection. But this is some Japanese Yakuza films, and some really, really legendary ones. And yeah, that's all I really know much about it, but I was definitely looking into a little bit of it, watching some of the trailers and some people talk about it, and I'm like, okay, I want to pull the trigger on this one, or maybe cut off a finger, Yakuza, right? So yeah, very excited about this. Just like the Eric Romer box set, really thin cases, saving some space on the shelf too, and I don't mind that. Although it did come in some flimsy cardboard, but what are you gonna do? You run out of the first run, and you kind of get stuck with that. And then the last thing is the thing I was probably most excited about to pick up. It is Cinema of Conflict, 4 films by Krzysztof Kieslowski. right here, this box set, which actually has a nice feel to it, although it is a little flimsy as well. Also in those 4 small cases here, there's 4 films by him. Is The Scar, Camera Buff, Blind Chance, and No End. But very excited about this. I just recently read Kieslowski on Kieslowski, and I watched The Double Life of Veronique, the missing film that I hadn't seen. I had seen The Decalogue and the Three Colors trilogy. Really love those films. So I'm curious to know the things that he did before that. From 1976, I think, all the way to 1987 are the 4 films in this box set in particular. But yeah, those are the films that I picked up for the Camp Arrow 2 sale. Did anyone pick up any of these titles or anything else? I'm definitely curious to know in the comment section down below. So let's actually now move on to the giveaway. All right, so for the giveaway, I like that all of you kind of chose different films. That's really cool. There was 14 of you that participated in this one or was interested in joining. So I have a random number generator right here. So I'm going to generate it here. I have you listed here. Let's do this. Number 11. Okay, so number 11 is actually Joe G. So Jogeee. And you have won the Alien 35th anniversary Blu-ray that I have, and I'm going to be sending that your way. So Joe G, can't talk. If you can, go in the description down below, find me on Twitter or on Instagram. I'm going to be linking those, and message me, and then I will be able to get your address and I can send that off to you. But I want to say thank you all for participating in this giveaway. I always love doing these things and able to interact with you in the community. So thank you again, and we're going to be doing giveaways in the near future, obviously. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can comment down below, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.